everybody. Welcome to the Transportation Policy Board meeting. So first, we will see regular business, item A, approval of the Transportation Policy Board agenda for April 8th.
So moved.
Would you like to second that? Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve today's agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, we'll move on. Next, we have the approval of the TPB meeting minutes of March 11th, 2025. Has everybody had a chance to review those? If so, I would entertain a motion for approval. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from March 11th. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Chairman, I'm going to abstain.
Abstain? Thank you.
I need to abstain. I did vote for it just then, so I wasn't here.
All right. So we have a few abstains. All right. All right, sounds great. All right, so we will move on. Item C, Director's Report. Chad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Transportation Policy Body. Good afternoon. We have a few items to report to you. And before that, I would like to introduce our guests today so that they are speakers, but also just want to introduce David Seitz from KDOT is here, which is busy schedule. He's standing there. And then he has a presentation on K254 corridor in our today. He had some event in Manhattan this morning and he drove, and thank you, David. Also, we have Michael Gerber from Forvis. He's the auditor and his staff did a great job. He's back there. He'll be having a presentation as well. And then with that, some routine updates on UPWP and then studies. Staff is here to update you. And then Marky, please.
Okay, good afternoon. As you all know, our Unified Planning Work Program describes what staff and consultants and all the activities that WAMPO plans within each calendar year. And so this is our Q1 report for 2025. The quarterly task chart is in your packet. I will spare you my monologue of reading the status of all of our priority projects, but I will just quickly read the priority project titles. So we have the MTP 2050 development and implementation. You'll hear more about that, as well as safety initiatives and activities, our annual single audit, which you will definitely hear about today, the regional active transportation plan development, the regional transit implementation plan, which was completed. And then we have safe routes to school plan development, Title VI program and limited English proficiency or LEP plan updates, and then our Federal Fiscal Year 2025 through 2028 Transportation Improvement Program Administration, Travel Demand Model Update, the Regional ITS Architecture Update, and a Household Travel Survey. Many of these items will be presented on today, and then the status of all of them is available in the packet as well. And also attached is our quarterly activity report that we submit to KDOT along with our quarterly reimbursement. That was fast, but does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Marky. And I just also want to add one thing. Staff is working on request for proposal for a couple of projects on pages 8 and 9. One of them is active transportation plan to develop a regional active transportation plan in conjunction with, City of Wichita's active transportation plan. And also, all the jurisdictions developing their plans and compiling and making a robust regional plan. That's one thing staff will be reporting to you, the progress on the request for RFP. And the second project is on page 9 called Household Travel Survey. That is a project that might also kickstart in sometime September or October, end of this year approximately. And the 2-year project that takes place like 2026 and 2027. Mainly the consultant who will be hired will be collecting a sample of population data on household surveys, perhaps like 2,000 households. So it's a huge task for them because to represent the travel patterns in the region. so that it is all input into the travel demand forecasting model. So just want to give an update on those two studies will start later part of this year. Thank you, Marky.
Yes, thank you.
Next item, Marky, on FTA.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to give a quick update about the FTA Section 5310 grant update, or Federal Transit Administration's 5310 program, which is for enhanced mobility of seniors and individuals with disabilities. WAMPO partners with Wichita Transit to facilitate the application and selection process. Wichita Transit is the designated recipient in the region, so we help with the call for applications and the selection committee process, both of which have been completed now. We had the call for applications from November 15th through January 24th. Submissions were reviewed and prioritized by a selection committee, and we are now waiting for Wichita Transit, which will announce the awards this summer. Any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, so we have Peter to update on the RFP, request for proposal for active transportation plan.
Thank you, Chad. And as he has already introduced the subject, we are developing a request for proposals. It's being drafted by WAMPO staff in accordance with our 2025 UPWP. The purpose of the plan is to assess existing conditions, identify gaps in the non-motorized travel network, and recommend strategies and potential projects for improving active transportation options. It's going to build on previous studies and align with recent and ongoing projects, including the Wichita Bicycle Plan, the Kansas Active Transportation Plan, and our Safe Routes to School plans, and our Regional Complete Streets policy. We'd like to bring this all to your attention. Please, at your convenience, if you have a project or an active transportation project, please bring it to our attention and we'll work on making sure that it gets addressed in the forthcoming plan.
Thank you, Peter. As an example, what Peter was sharing, on page 13, somewhere in the middle, there is an identify catalyst projects on page 13. That example is staff were discussing how the future of our region can incorporate, catalyst projects like Keeper of Plains is an example, where families come and enjoy that bridge and that type of connectivity that beautifies the region and, parks and connectivities. So if your communities have some of those, this is a great opportunity to, incorporate those into the active transportation plan. There are 5 or 10 of those catalyst projects that are, Park City has some innovative design of downtown, and several communities have some innovative downtown plans. So those are all the opportunities. If you think of anything else that we should add that the consulting firm should do, please let Peter or me know. Thank you.
On our
We have next item, Kim, I think, Safe Routes. One more item.
introduce here the topic. It's going to give an update on the Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant. And before I continue on this, I thought it might be good to address, we're going to be talking about in various capacities today, the Safe Streets and Roads for All implementation grant, the Safe Streets and Roads for All demonstration grant, and also Safe Routes to School. They all three have different acronyms. So if you do feel like you're having a bit of deja vu, you're not incorrect. We are talking about different things as we go through these various grants, just something to be aware of. But to give an update, the federal fiscal year, or FFY 2025 Notice of Funding Opportunity, or NOFO, was released for the implementation grant, which can often be put towards large construction projects that are geared towards different safety initiatives. So that was released Friday afternoon, March 28th. The application is due June 26th of 2025. We have placed the link there on the slide for the complete information for that NOFO, or Notice of Funding Opportunity. And to give some updates on there, for WAMPO's purposes, the federal fiscal year 2025 Notification of Funding Opportunity, and I want to talk about its relationship to action plans. So the NOFO materials require that any grant applicants have an eligible action plan. For WAMPO, that is our comprehensive safety action plan that details a whole bunch of different data analysis and strategies for transportation safety. In that action plan, it is again required for any grant applicant for implementation grants. But per the language in the NOFO materials, eligible action plans need to identify a list of community-wide projects. As of right now, WAMPO CSAP contains a list of strategies with timelines for implementation, but it's not a list of projects. So in its current state, WAMPO's action plan may not meet eligibility requirements for submission of any implementation project. Which leads into my next slide, amending the CSAP for eligibility. So to ensure we have an eligible action plan, in this case, the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, we've developed a basic template for projects, and we have started reaching out to jurisdictions for projects that relate to the CSAP safety emphasis areas, which are intersections, vulnerable road users, and speed for incorporation to this, or I should say speed-related crashes. With that in mind, I have been reaching out to various staff members among our different jurisdictions. I've gotten wonderful feedback and lists of projects, but I don't want to have anything missed. So please come see me if you have an item or a project that you think might be a good fit for our CSAP plan. With that in mind, our next steps, we'll take this list of projects, and the committee that oversaw the development of the original CSAP, or Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, the technical safety, or the Transportation Safety Technical Advisors, or TSTA, they will convene here this April to review the draft project list for incorporation to the CSAP, and then also discuss potential implementation projects that are, one, consistent with the CSAP's goals, supported by the included data analysis, and could also be ready for a grant proposal in a short time frame. And so just an update on implementation. Again, we will need to submit that on June 26th per the NOFO materials. Any questions on the implementation grant?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Peter. And we have Kim updating on.
Good afternoon. Myself and several of the WAMPO staff attended the 30th annual KDOT Transportation Safety Conference that was held here in Wichita last month. It was a great conference, over 320 participants. We led a breakout session on collaboration, and a few things that we emphasized during our breakout session is the amount of collaboration that we have with our jurisdictions and with our residents through our other outreach efforts. We also talked about a new initiative, our Transportation Safety Champions, that we are launching, and we provide an invitation for people to engage with us, because that is definitely at the resident level, and we're wanting to really reach people with a safety message. And then we also talked about our SS4A demonstration grant. So it was a great breakout, a great conference. KDOT knocked it out of the park. It was wonderful. Lots of networking. That's always very helpful when you're in this work. And also celebration of the safety achievements that are happening across our state. So it was a great time and a great opportunity to invite people into the WAMPO love of our project. So, any questions on the conference? It was a great opportunity, so thank you for the opportunity to attend it.
Thanks, Kim.
Mhm.
And Peter has a final item to report on ITS architecture.
Yes, so I just want to give a quick update on the meeting. So for the Intelligent Transportation System Architecture Update, it's a update that we are federally required to perform every 5 years. Give you an update on the meeting schedule. So we have our stakeholder meeting for that on April 22nd. That'll be here in this room at 8:30 a.m. And then our steering committee meeting on May 13th at 10:30. That'll be on the same day as our TPP meeting that afternoon. Just to bring notice of those meetings and keep everyone informed.
Thank you so much, Peter, Kim, and Marky. Appreciate it, Mr. Chair.
All right, thank you. And thank you for all those updates. Lots of stuff great going on. Next, we have item D, the consent agenda. Chad?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a safe streets and roads for all. There's a matching agreement with KDOT. And Vanessa Spartan was very generous, and her leadership at KDOT has made a contribution of 15% towards the federal grant that was obtained. So Marky is here. Marky can elaborate more.
Thank you. Yes, that's the gist of it. As a reminder, we were awarded a federal Safe Streets and Roads for All demonstration and planning grant in the amount of $940,000. That's just the federal portion. And like all of our funding, it does require a 20% local match, which is $235,000. Very kindly, KDOT has offered to provide 15% of that overall cost, or $176,250. And so we are asking the TPB whether to approve entering this contract in order to receive those funds.
Our action items, Marky, could you please?
Yes, the staff recommendation is to approve entering the state match agreement. Since this is a consent agenda item, the action options are the same as generally they are for the consent agenda. I apologize, I did not create a slide for that, even though it is just the one option.
Mayor, can we move?
Yeah, sure. Does anybody have any questions on this consent agenda item? If not, would anybody like to entertain I would entertain a motion to approve this consent agenda. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any other further discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Marky.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad, for all those updates. All right, next we have item 3, the public comment opportunity. Would any member of the public like to speak? You can have 3 minutes. Anybody? Nobody. All right. We will move on then. Next, we have our action items. The first item is year 2024 audit report. We have Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, my name is Michael Gerber. I think I recognize some of the faces here. I'm a partner with Forvis Mazars. We did complete your 2024 audit, and so I'm here to present the findings as a result of that audit. I guess, spoiler alert, there's really not a lot of findings. So this is going to be a nice, short and sweet type of a presentation here. So I want to start by thanking your finance team. I know Kyle's kind of almost a team of one, but he's got some to help him out as well. He does a great job getting us what we need to do our audit. So thank you very much for your help getting us through this. We're out here the last week of January, which if you think about that for a calendar year end, that's quite a lift to have everything ready for us on day one. And he always does a great job getting us what we need there. So really, there's just 4 things that I want to touch on as a result of the audit. Number 1, we did issue a clean and unmodified opinion. That's the opinion that you want as a result of an audit. So good news there. As far as the financial activity goes, you're probably well aware of this. You probably get reports on a regular basis, but expenses for 2024 were about half of what was budgeted originally. Main reason for that is just some of the projects were delayed, but you do, with the federal funding, you still get reimbursed for those costs. So the revenue is more than enough to keep you going, and you have enough cash on hand also to continue doing business here for the foreseeable future. So no concerns from a financial activity perspective. I think Marky had mentioned the single audit that we do. You know, as you get federal funding, the government does want to make sure that you're spending that money in the right place. So there's always a compliance audit that's tagged onto that. And so we did go through, test a number of transactions related to that grant. Again, no findings as a result of that. So good news in that area. And then the last item, I think you all have the copy of the financial statements and then another staple document. This is what we call our letter to those charged with governance. It's a pretty thick document, but really it's just a lot of required communications with management. We always do some walkthroughs of your cash inflows, outflows, make sure there's good controls over those assets. If we have any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, we would note those within that letter. What you'll find is there are no written comments. The only thing that I'll mention is you have a relatively small accounting team, but you do have review processes in place to help, mitigate any errors or fraud or things like that. So we don't have any written material weaknesses or anything of that nature. So good news in that area as well. So that covers my prepared remarks, but I will pause if there's any questions or anything else I can help you with.
Are there any questions? It sounds like it's a great report, great findings.
Hats off to your team. Yes, thank you.
So we do have an action item on this. Would anybody like to make a motion to receive and file the year 2024 audit report? We have a motion and a second to receive and file the year 2024 audit report. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, thank you. Again, great report. Thank you for coming also. All right, our next item is the item B, the FFY 2025 through 28, the Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 4.
Thank you.
Peter?
Good afternoon again. Going to talk about the TIP amendment number 4. So here's our public review and comment schedule. It was in public comment from February 28th to March 14th. We had our TAC recommendation on March 24th, and that brings us today, April 8th, for the official TPP vote. So you can check out the full details of the amendment summary that's shown on the screen as an attachment linked in your packet and at the bottom of the webpage at the URL shown. So in total, there were 18 projects in Amendment 4 that have requested changes that require TAC and TPP approval. There were 9 requests for new projects, 1 for a project to be removed, and 8 projects to be modified. In addition, there were also 2 projects with administrative adjustments that don't necessarily require formal action by the TAC or TPP. For example, minor cost changes or changing your activity or updating contact information or the like. On the, I believe it's on your right-hand side of your desk, you should have a large, I think it's a 17:9 piece of paper that has this map. And then on the other side, sorry about, yeah, if you just flip that table over, you can see this there, and you can see all of the different amendment or all of the projects included in this amendment mapped across WAMPO. So you have your new projects, the amended projects, and the 2 projects that had administrative adjustments there on the map. And then, as always, I'd like to go through the projects that required formal action. So we have Derby's Rock Road and Corridor improvements. It had an increase in project cost that was in just local funding only. We have 7 new projects from Goddard, 6 sidewalk projects, and 1 roadway expansion project, all entered with just local funding on those. We have City of Wichita's Douglas Seneca to Meridian project, had an increase in project costs. Again, that was paid for with local funds. And then you can see 3 entries for the Redbud Path. It was phased into 2 projects. So how that looks like is the original one was removed and then the 2 phases were entered. Then we have several KDOT bridge projects, 5 in total on here. Those were modified. They had changes in project costs, sometimes updating the year of obligation on some of the federal funding, and that was all done with state and NHPP funds. And then finally, we have one more City of Wichita project. No change in project costs, but there was a change in local to state funding on that. And that one involves a pilot project to explore the placement of an overhead vehicle sensor along the Burlington Northern Santa Fe corridor downtown. And then we have our WAMPO suballocated funding changes. This one just goes over any project included in this amendment and always details if there's any substantial or material change to projects in our suballocated funding program. As you can see on here, none of the changes materially affected the total amount of suballocated funding on these projects. This table, we have all of the federal funding on the 2025 to 2028 TIP Amendment 4 projects. And this one, which is available as in the staff report, shows all of the federal funding changes in TIP Amendment 4. And finally, Amendment number 4, it meets requirements. It went through its public comment and review period. It's consistent with the current MTP, Reimagine Move 2040. It's fiscally constrained and adds a financial impact of 68.1 million. Which brings us to our action options. Before I read them, any questions for me on tip amendment number 4?
No questions? All right,
Our options are to approve tip amendment number 4 as presented, not approve tip amendment number 4, or approve with specific changes. The TAC recommendation was to approve the federal fiscal 2025 to 2028 tip amendment number 4 as presented.
all right. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve tip amendment number 4 as presented? We have a motion and a, do we have a second? All right, thank you. We're there for a minute. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the FFY 25 through 28 tip amendment number 4 as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, thank you. Thank you, Peter. All right, next we have item 5, discussion updates. A, Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 project list changes. Peter.
Thank you, Chair. So the Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 or MTP 2050 had, we'd like to detail a couple of project list changes. So prior to the March 8th through 2025 through the April 7th, 2025 MTP public comment period, minor edits were made to the MTP 2050 project list at the request of WAMPO member jurisdictions. The edits do not negate any of the project selections that were made by the Transportation Policy Body on November 12th, 2024. And following the edits, the fiscal constraint of MTP 2050 is still maintained. And I'm going to have Nick Flanders go through the specifics on these project edits.
Thank you, Peter. First, there were 2 projects where merely the project sponsors who originally asked that these projects be included in the MTP requested that their titles be changed in order to more accurately reflect what they will consist of. First, there's the Sedgwick County project, R372 21st Street North and 167th Street West Roundabout, which was modified to read R372 21st Street North and 167th Street West intersection improvements, meaning it would not necessarily be a roundabout. And no cost change with this, no time band change with this. So you don't have to worry about any fiscal constraint concerns with anything. And likewise, also with no changes to cost estimate or time band, the City of Wichita project 21st Street North, 119th Street West, 135th Street West is changed to 21st Street from 119th Street to St. Teresa Street to more accurately reflect what they believe to be the accurate limits of the project. So just to make that a little more accurate. In addition to that, we received a request to include amongst our category projects in the MTP, one for bridge projects, similar to how we have category projects for bicycle and pedestrian improvements, for traffic flow and safety improvements, for intelligent transportation system projects, and also public transit projects. But this bridge one is put in for the same reason as those, because bridge projects often come up on a shorter time frame than some of the bigger projects that get into the MTP. It's not like the North Junction or anything like that. And so we get them in as category projects that necessarily can qualify for funding by being in there this way. And so it's put in there the same way, and you can see the entries that were put in for the bridge projects for the category in the MTP here. Now, don't mind too much the amounts on there because the TIP projects that are consistent with these MTP category projects are not required to be within those amounts. These are just the same amounts that were used for the other ones. And are there any questions on this before we head on to other MTP related stuff?
I see no questions.
Okay, moving on to the next thing then.
So next thing is the item B, Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050, upcoming approval vote.
Yes. At the very next meeting of this body, you will all be asked to vote on our long-range metropolitan transportation plan, MTP 2050. It's finally almost here. So please attend that meeting, and in the meantime, we still have the draft plan up on our website, www.wampo.org/MTP 2050. And just yesterday, we finished the 30-day public comment period. But now you see that around the table, you each have a little comment card. You can, if you want to, still put in a comment on there that we can address before bringing the final thing to the TAC and TPB for the final set of votes. But we do ask that you please get us whatever comments you have remaining by mid-April so that we will have time to get everything done before sending out the packet for the April 28th TAC meeting, which has to have a vote on a recommendation before the final vote of this body on May 13th. And after that, there will just be one last one last round of public engagement, round 5 for introducing the approved plan to the public. And again, I'm sure many of you have heard this many times. The vision of MTP 2050 is to enhance connectivity in a way that supports equitable development of a safe, reliable, multimodal transportation network that enriches the quality of place within the WAMPO region. This vision is served by the goals of making things safe and reliable, equitable and accessible, connected and multimodal, and engaging in environmental and financial stewardship. There's a couple of screenshots of what the draft chapters and appendices look like on the website. One tab for each. We've gone over these 7 chapters before of plan, purpose, and development, regional trends, existing conditions, system management, system performance report, financial plan, establishing fiscal constraint, and project selection and list, where you'll find the project list, entries from which we were discussing just in the previous item. And now today, we're going to go through 7 of the 14 appendices we presented on the other 7 last month. Now we're going to go over the 7 that are bolded on this list, but not in the original order here. The first one, Appendix E, cost estimation model. We had a call for projects for MTP 2050 from September 15th, 2023 to February 2nd, 2024. All of the project sponsors, all of the lead agencies had to submit cost estimates with their submitted projects, because without those estimates, we wouldn't be able to ascertain that the plan was fiscally constrained. But to aid this, we had a consulting firm put together a cost estimation tool in spreadsheet form that they could optionally use for this purpose. Lead agencies did have the option of using their own methods to estimate costs, but this additional option was provided, 1, to create a little more consistency between estimates across different jurisdictions, and 2, to make it easier for small jurisdictions to come up with cost estimates. And so this appendix details the assumptions that went into that cost estimate appendix and how it worked. and to let you all know what went into that part of the process. All right, and it was divided up into the different categories of projects that you see here: bridge rehabilitation, bridge replacement, traffic signals, road diets, turn lanes, intersections, sidewalks, and multi-use paths, bike lanes, roadway expansion, roadway reconstruction, and building brand new roadways where there wasn't one before. Now for the next appendix, I'll turn things over to Peter Moore.
Thank you, Nick. And I'll just try to give you a brief overview of these. So in 2024, we completed the electric vehicle network plan. So it outlines a strategy to develop a regional network of EV charging stations. So it looks at optimal locations for charging infrastructure, of course, promotes equitable access and ensures compatibility with state and federal EV goals. So the EV network plan plans to reduce emissions, improve air quality, and support regional sustainability initiatives. Then we have our CSAP, as we were talking about earlier. So in 2023, WAMPO and community partners developed a comprehensive safety action plan to better understand crash data and coordinate safety strategies for the region. So it includes an exhaustive analysis of including heat maps of high crash locations and contributing factors, and includes an implementation plan with strategies to reduce and eliminate crashes and crash-related serious injuries and fatalities within the WAMPO region. Our travel demand models. So in 2022, we hired the consulting firm JEO with their sub-consultant Caliper to update the travel demand model for the region. We, as the MPO for the region, maintain this. So the TDM, or travel demand model, divides the region into 1,667 traffic analysis zones. And working with this framework with populations and employment projections used for each one of these zones, it helps predict travel with all of the different projects and transportation infrastructure within the region. We did that for the current year, and then we did that for the horizon year of 2050, which includes all the projects that can be mapped onto a traffic network that are currently in the MTP. Appendix G, congestion management process. So it is a required planning document for metropolitan areas with populations over 200,000, which of course includes WAMPO, and provides kind of a systematic approach to managing traffic congestion based on regional transportation system performance. Guides development selection of appropriate strategies to reduce congestion, and is intended to provide for safe and effective integrated management and operation of the multimodal transportation system. Appendix M, our commuter flows report. We do release this annually. We included our most recent one inside the MTP as well. It looks at an analysis of workers, residence locations, workplace locations, and covers all municipalities in the WAMPO region. It uses Census Bureau data from the longitudinal employment household dynamics. It's a little bit different than ACS data on that. I put an example on here, the city of Wichita. The 2020 decennial census population was 397,532. If you look at workers living in the city, which is the internal people who live and work in the city, plus who go outside the city to work, you have about 173,500 people or so. And if you look at inflow and internal, you add those together, you can get an estimate for the number of jobs in the city, which comes out to just shy of 198,000 for Wichita. And that is Appendix M. Appendix C are MTP amendment procedures. So federal regulations, MPOs must update their metropolitan transportation plans every 5 years. Before the next scheduled update, though, unforeseen circumstances may arise. So WAMPO MTP amendment procedures provide clear means to perform ongoing updates as needed. Written amendment requests may be made to the WAMPO executive director, and WAMPO staff may issue a call for changes, proactively asking member jurisdictions and planning partners to request specific changes to the plan. And then again, of course, these amendments must be consistent with applicable federal regulations and go through a public comment period and be voted on by the TAC and TPP. Which finally leads us to our public engagement slide. I'm going to pass it over to Marky Jonas.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone who helped participate and engage with us during our 4th round of public engagement and our public comment period. We had lots of opportunities to engage with the public, speak at different meetings. We also had lots of partners share posts on social media. So I really just wanted to say thank you. I really appreciate the support. And then I'll reiterate, we were in our public comment period from March 8th through April 7th. We did attend multiple community and partner events. And then we also held 2 of our own events. We held a virtual public meeting and that was on March 12th from 12 to 1. The recording of that is still available on our website if you would like lots of details about the plan. I will also mention that there are 4 copies of the complete plan around the tables. Feel free to take a look, sort through them. If you would like your own copy, let us know. We did not prepare them just based on the sheer volume of the plan, but we can certainly do that if you'd like a printed copy. Oh, sorry, I went on a tangent. Going back to the open house. We also had an open house, which was on March 26th, and we did that with the Regional Chamber of Commerce, and that had a pretty good turnout. And so those were 2 events to engage with the community and collect comments there, and then also comments online, either via email or through our website. We have received 38 comments, and as Nick mentioned, there are comment cards around the table. Please feel free to write them down and mention. There's a box up here you can put them in. You can also email us. Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Does anyone have any questions either about public engagement or about the entire draft plan?
I want to compliment you. You came to our district bus board meeting last night. And well, did a very good job.
Thank you.
The video you guys have is very good.
Thank you. I like to use any excuse I can to show it.
Yeah, good.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for everything you've done. And, like Marky said, and Nick said, the comment cards right here. Would encourage you to fill one out if you haven't already, or go online and do it. And Nick mentioned by mid-April. Is there a particular date?
Not very specifically, no.
Okay.
As much time as we can to address things would be wonderful, but you are also the governing body, and so these are changes that we want you to think about and you to be happy with. So the draft plan is what we all envision for the region.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, no further questions? All right, we'll move on to item C, the Safe Routes to School planning update. Kim.
Okay, we are excited to share an update on Safe Routes to Schools. It's going very well, and it is exciting to see all of the participation from the jurisdictions and from the schools, including public and private schools now. So thank you for helping connect us with the private schools as well. Chris Brown is with SRF Consulting, and he is going to provide a very brief update for you today. Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Yes, my name is Chris Brown. I'm the Deputy Project Manager from SRF Consulting Group and supporting this effort and excited to be a part of it. So the kicking us off here, just some brief updates kind of on process and next steps on the next slide. We're operating within kind of, the metropolitan area obviously here, but working within the existing bounds of the Kansas DOT Safe Routes to School program. So using that as an overall guidance space, since there's so many resources and ongoing opportunities that at the state level that is being organized and provided. Just wanted to acknowledge that. And then on the next slide, we are just showing here kind of our steps. So we're operating within the 7 E's of Safe Routes to School. Those are up there in the top right corner. So those are kind of the guiding national principles for the Safe Routes to School program, and will be a part of the process throughout. As I mentioned, kind of a 2-pronged approach here. First is that best practices guide on the top. So we're creating a document in coordination with our stakeholder group, which is all of the local agencies and school districts across the metropolitan region, to provide really a one-stop shop, if you will, of information of how to start a Safe Routes to School program or implement one, improve one, complete Safe Routes to School plans, and any other information within this program that would be needed as a document to reference by any interested parties for that program. So we're really excited to kind of create a customized documentation process for the WAMPO region. We're also identifying high priority schools. Will be completing 60 plans across the metropolitan area for each of the 14 school districts, as well as the private and parochial schools. And so we're having that be a district-led process to provide us with their highest priority needed locations. We'll complete an inventory and action plan for each of those, identifying existing conditions, and also solutions and actions to improve the infrastructure, as well as programs and policies to create a safe space and comfortable space that encourages students to walk or bike to school. As I noted, this best practices guide, we're excited about this one. It's going to be a really fun process to work with WAMPO to kind of create, and our partners to create this customized one-stop shop. I keep using that phrase, but I really do think this will be a really helpful long-term reference guide for everybody. And so just kind of on the right side here, offering again, providing some background, some tools, actions and implementation processes, and again, really just trying to assist folks that are from not knowing what safe routes to school is to a practitioner, but interested in implementing and improving things within the program more. And then just showing here just the steps of the action plan. So that's second part of this process, concurrent process. So just our typical planning process here, but demonstrating how the action plans will play out from a visioning standpoint of understanding what is the desire of that local school and community? What are the existing conditions, safety issues, enrollment, the existing walking and biking network are proposed? Where are their gaps? Where are their options and actions then to either close gaps, improve conditions from an infrastructure standpoint, or again, highlighting opportunities from programs and policies, walking and biking education, audits, and other opportunities to really create a holistic approach to improving the Safe Routes to School program or implementing it MPO wide. And this is just a brief example just for everybody, of kind of what the feel and look of what a map and some action items and recommendations. This is a high level planning document, so it would identify, obviously areas for improvement from an infrastructure standpoint with some brief background, but again, would be at that planning level detail. And just for everyone's reference, here's our schedule. I know it might be a bit hard to read, but just wanted to show most generally, working through a variety of engagement opportunities, which are highlighted in green there. Again, our stakeholder group, as well as at the beginning of next school year, engaging with parents and students through student tallies to understand how kids are getting to school, parent surveys to understand their perspectives on walking and biking to school and how things can be improved. Also having a variety of informational opportunities using WAMPO's website, social media, direct contacts to parents and school staff through existing channels of communication. So we're excited to really, create this, again, create a longer lasting program of communication and process for the region. And as you're seeing here, we kicked off just at the beginning of the year and we'll be going through the end of 2026. So we're going through a 2-year process, but we're excited to get things started here and update you along the way. All right, I'll pause for any questions.
Are there any questions for Chris? I know this is in our, the link is in our packet. So if you want to watch, actually look at this online. Chris, I don't see any questions.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris. Thanks, Kim. All right, next we'll move on to item D, the K-254 Corridor Management Plan. We have David from KDOT. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. My name is David Seitz with Kansas Department of Transportation. I'm managing the K-254 Corridor Management Plan. I'm here today to share with you an update on that planning process. For those of you who are not aware of what that plan is, it is it proactively identified K-254 from Wichita to El Dorado as an area which may see some significant growth out there. It planned for future needs out there and recommended transportation solutions that will help to keep Kansans moving forward. I'm happy to report that the plan is now complete. As you can see, we have a QR code up there. I also provided with you today a handout which has the website address if you're uncomfortable with the QR codes. The plan is housed on KDOT's website, and that's where it's going to be housed for the remainder of its life. As far as how we're going to get that out to the communities, the partners out there, I've offered to make that available as a hard copy as well. KDOT will have that printed. They just have to let me know. We'll have it printed up and we will deliver it to them down here. So That's out there. A lot of people are wondering now, what's next, now that we have this plan? I've spoken to several already on this. KDOT has a program that's available. Once you have this corridor management plan in place, we have funds available to help implement that plan. I provided an application in the packet. I'm not sure if it made it to the packet or not, but it was provided, and I've spoken to the locals on this. That will provide some construction funding out there for these projects that are identified in this plan. This opportunity is selected on a rolling basis, so you simply need to contact me if you're interested in applying. There's not an official call for projects on this one. It would be my pleasure to talk with you guys if you have any interest in the program. Also, what's next? This Friday, KDOT will be down at Bel Air to participate in the K254 CDA meeting over lunch. I'll share this update that the plan is now complete. Also with me there will be Mike Moriarty and Jeff Sims with KDOT. They plan to share an update on a proposal to update the 1997 major investment study for the Northwest Expressway, and they will also share an update for the project to design improvements at Rock and Webb Road. So with that, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for your participation in this plan. Thank you for the opportunity to help bring this plan to you today. It's a significant advancement in transportation planning in this region to deliver solutions that will help the region and Kansas to move forward. I appreciate everything you guys do for us, and thank you for everything.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions for David?
Just a quick comment.
Go ahead.
It's in Bel Air, the K254 Corridor Development Association meeting. I believe it's at Bel Air's community building.
It's at our community building.
Community building.
And It's
I
at
think it's
11:30.
11:30.
Friday. This Friday.
Mr. Chair, thank you. David, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. And also for
Thank you
everyone,
again.
Staff printed, this 20 pages, both-sided document. This has the future improvements that were planned. I worked with David. I was one of the stakeholder committee member. David's leadership was great in making this plan robust and identifying, crashes and set of improvements. So it's really great details in each interchange along 254. So there is this document at each of your table at each of your place. Thank you, David.
That published document includes the data we discovered during that process. It also includes like the environmental evaluation, the desktop environmental evaluations, and we provided improvements for an interim, short term, as well as a long term. And the long term are the interchanges that would bring the freeway from 254 Wichita to El Dorado.
And yeah, to piggyback on David's point, most of the 254 corridor has at-grade intersections, and that's one of the reasons why safety was important for all of us. So that was reflected in the plan as well. Thank you, David.
All right, thanks again, David. All right, next we have item 6, committee and partnership updates. Executive committee. The next executive committee is on May 8th. The next is the Kansas Department of Transportation.
Hi, good afternoon. Tomorrow, KDOT will be closing the left and center lanes of northbound I-135 between Harry and 13th Street. The lane closures will take place between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily until the work is completed. It is currently anticipated to conclude next week. This is for a larger signing project for the Wichita highway system. We also currently have on US 81 from Grand Street to 59th Street South in Hayesville, a pavement patching project that began this week. The work is anticipated to be completed in early June, weather permitting.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, we'll move on to item C, the Wichita Metro Division, KDOT. Same thing. All right. Okay. All right, the Federal Highway Administration. Do we have anybody for that? Okay. All right, the Federal Transit Administration.
I don't see, Mr. Chair, I don't see anyone.
Okay. Did I miss anybody? All right. All right, next we have other business. We have no other business. Next is adjournment. Anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to move.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn today's meeting. All right, we'll see you next time. Thank you for coming.